This is Coach Amy, and she's also a certified Laura Doyle coach. And she also has a beautiful transformation story to tell us. Can you tell us a bit about your relationship before you received some victories and learned the skills, the 6 intimacy skills?
Yeah, so I like have a before story and then my before story where when I got married, I didn't think what I wanted mattered really. And it was kind of, I don't know if it was an unworthy place, but I prioritized everyone and everything else before myself. One, my vulnerability was terrible. I didn't want to let anyone else know what was happening inside of me. So I put on the happy face. I did all the things that I was supposed to do and did it cheerfully on the outside. And I wanted to be that peacemaker. I wanted everybody else to be happy, but I couldn't find the happiness inside of me. I couldn't find the peace inside of me. I did a lot of self-help type things. I read all the books and listened to all the podcasts, and somehow I came to the conclusion it was my husband's fault. And so I was I would share with him all the things that he needed to do as a husband for me to be happy, or all the ways that he was letting us down. Or I remember diagnosing him and he agreed with me. He's all, yeah, that sounds like me. And so but he wasn't willing to do anything different. He was happy the way he was and expected me to be happy the way things were. And so I just lost hope for anything to change, and I kind of settled in, and this was what life was going to be. And I thought that I had to endure the struggle and that eventually someday, way out, maybe when I was like 80 and we couldn't do anything anyways, then I would find happiness, with my grandkids or whatever the case may be. Meanwhile, like my sisters had struggled in their marriages, and I had a friend that was struggling in her marriage. And I was listening to a podcast. It wasn't Laura's. She was a visitor on the podcast. She started talking about these skills and had practical applications of the skills and concrete things to do that made differences. And so I just kind of started sprinkling them in. Well, I got onto her podcast and I would binge it. I would go on 3 or 4 hour runs just so I could listen to the podcast. So yeah, I went through those really fast, but I would sprinkle it into my relationship. And I could see benefits from it. So then I really have a desire to help people. So I jumped right into coach training before I had really even tried out anything. And it was all kind of surface level still for me. It took me a long time to really let it sink in and to see how even me trying to make everybody else happy was controlling. I was not on my paper. I wanted to see everybody else get all of these benefits from these things, but it wasn't from my paper at all until I was forced to do that. And forced to become vulnerable.
So you felt like you're forced to become vulnerable at some point?
Yeah. So because of my falls, my husband didn't know that he could trust me. He thought that I was hiding something, and he wasn't wrong. I was hiding something. I was hiding my real feelings about things. And so he went into a deep dive and read my journals and to try to get to know me. And what's so crazy is that's what I was hoping for the entire time. I was hoping that we could have a more connected relationship, but it was all from him, that he was blocking everything. So I thought. So he without me knowing, he read all my journals and and it's not like I had anything really to hide. So then when he told me that, I knew in that moment I had a decision to make, whether I wanted to have that intimacy with him and receive this as an opportunity for it, or I could have blown up and how
Mm.
dare you type of. And so I chose the intimacy and I chose the vulnerability,
Wow.
and I let him ask any questions that he wanted, and on the like honestly answered him to the best of my ability. I mean, who remembers 20 years ago? But it was a different kind of experience. But I'm grateful for it that I feel like we are open with each other and we are more connected.
Hmm.
So now as challenges come up with teenagers and with each other, and I can feel peace when there's pain, and I
Oh.
can find happiness
Mm. Wow.
when the situation isn't all that happy.
So you felt like, I hear you saying that you felt like there was like, you were kind of blocking it. You were trying to protect yourself. Realize that you're being open and sharing your emotions and your emotional state was a way to connect with your husband. You kind of like protected that part of yourself for a long time. And you weren't really true to your authentic desires or the things that you loved and what you wanted. You weren't really opening up your heart. And so your husband kind of felt like he didn't know you, and so he wanted to come to understand you. And so when he read your journals, you could have made a choice, like I could just get really angry, or I could allow him in. And so you allowed him in, which was really beautiful. And that happened 20 years ago. Did you say that?
No, that
Okay. No,
no,
I
that
didn't
just
think so.
happened during coach training. Like we had that,
Okay.
so just a couple of
Okay.
years ago. But
A couple of years ago.
um
Okay.
and it's funny because like I always had a desire. At first, I wanted to become a counselor, but I didn't really want to do that. And then I thought about doing like coaching of some sort. But I
Yeah.
would watch my friends or loved ones do coaching. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they were becoming better selves,
Mm-hmm.
but it was disconnected from everybody else in their life. And so I watched families like crumble, or
Yeah.
people go off to, serve their life purpose or whatever,
Yeah.
but their family was falling apart and their
Ooh.
children were just devastated. And
Oh.
so like I I couldn't get behind that. So when I found Laura, and it definitely is become your best self, but it's within your relationship and within a community, and building
Yeah.
more connections and not severing them, if that makes sense. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. So supporting your existing relationship and making it beautiful and not having to have
Right.
families fall apart and going through divorce court. And that I'm really big advocate for not doing that.
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
because it causes so much pain. That happened to me. Like I didn't realize at the time like how destructive that would be for my family. And so I see that you protected your family, but you saw other people not protecting their family, but they're like finding their life's purpose, or they're connecting with themselves but not keeping their family together. And for you that was a
Right.
no-go. You're like, I'd rather work on my relationship with my partner and work on myself simultaneously, which is what the 6 intimacy skills teach. And so you were working, so that's awesome. I love that. What's like a good story so people can understand what it felt like for you in your life, the worst times, like, so that they can help understand what it felt like to be you in your marriage before the skills.
It felt numb, really.
Yeah.
Um, like people would ask me, we
Yeah.
traveled all over the United States for my
Uh-huh.
husband for work, and I was just kind of moving through life.
Yeah.
I but I didn't find like joy with my kids, which is really sad. Like that breaks my heart.
Oh.
And my husband would be like, "So, how do you feel about going to this place?" And I really could care less. Like it didn't matter. Nothing
Wow.
mattered.
Oh.
Um,
Oh, that's really hard.
because once I realized that this was happening, and then there was no change from him,
Yeah.
it was a hopelessness. Things should matter. Like I had that recognition, things should matter, but it really didn't, because like nothing was
Oh.
changing anyway. So it was
So
really a weird place to be.
like kind of like a depression.
Yeah. Yeah,
You're like a
that's
Yeah.
the best description I can find, but I don't know how I got to the hopelessness. There was no sadness in it,
Okay.
but there wasn't any
Like you were disconnected.
excitement either.
Oh, you're just kind
Yeah.
of floating and you're not really sure. Like, did you feel like you had a belief system? Was there a belief in your mind? Like, were there thoughts going through your mind that that kind of fueled that numbness? What was your beliefs that made it feel like your life was disconnected? Like, was there something you were thinking about that caused that?
I don't know if there was or wasn't. Like I grew up in a very religious household.
Yeah,
Um, and so the underlying, I feel like I've always had a faith.
yeah,
But I always could look to the future, like
yeah.
someday something great will happen, but not any idea how to get from point A to point B to C, like, you always hear like find the joy in the journey. Like I would hear all these little things,
Uh-huh. Yeah,
but no one ever like I knew it was my job to be happy. Like
yeah.
but how do you do that? Or like happy wife, happy life, but how do you get the wife happy? Like all of these things that so I could put on like
Yeah,
if you were to ask anyone
yeah,
from those days, they'd have thought I was a happy person. They'd have thought I
nice.
was, you know,
Yeah.
um, because I
But
knew
you
how to
felt
play
like
the
you're
part.
performing.
It
You felt
was
like
it
you're
was all
performing.
a part.
Yeah,
Yes, it was a role that I was playing.
yeah.
Um,
And you were disconnected. Did it
whereas,
feel like you were not connected to yourself? Like you weren't connected in here. You weren't
oh
connected
yeah,
spirit. Like there was this
yeah.
disconnect between
I
your
didn't I
spirit
didn't
self
know who
and
this
your,
was.
yeah. You're like, I'm in this body.
Like
And
it's funny because I remember a friend in high school, and he was actually going through some stuff, and
yeah.
he asked me like, "Do you love yourself?" And
Uh-huh.
I kind of answered it like flippantly, like, yeah, of course I love myself. Like
Yeah.
Jesus loves me, of course I do. um, and it wasn't until, 20 years later that I really, I feel like I know who I am and I really do love myself.
Oh.
And that allows me to love others so much deeper.
Oh wow. That is a beautiful. That is so beautiful. What do you think caused this shift from these this old you, which kind of felt like you realize that it's like this disconnect between you and your spirit, you and your actual self, like your identity. It sounds like. What caused that shift? Like, was there a moment? Do you remember a moment where you felt like that there was a change, or what? And what caused it?
I think it's lots of little moments of just honoring me,
Mm-hmm.
being able to be respectful through it, honoring my vulnerability, but
Yeah.
from my paper, not because of anyone else.
Yeah.
It's just honoring how I'm feeling,
Yeah.
um, making decisions based on that in a respectful way, not expecting anyone else to
Mm-hmm.
make me feel a certain way.
So you just took a lot of little moments, it sounds like, where you just really were honoring that your internal self, your likes, wants, and desires, your personal, who am I, like honoring what do I love? Is that kind of the thoughts you're going through your mind? Like how would you honor yourself? Like if a woman's on this podcast and they are listening to you speak and they kind of resonate with you, what is a way that you honor yourself to and your needs,
Like
wants, and desires,
a,
or what
a
is it?
funny example is like when we would get dessert at a restaurant, I would
Yeah.
always defer to John. Like, what would you? Because he's
Yeah.
the picky eater. He would like,
Yeah.
he has more opinions than me. I like just about anything. It
Yeah.
was always kind of a brush off of myself. And I
Yeah.
remember going to a restaurant and I knew he would have wanted the cheesecake, but I wanted the chocolate. And
Yeah.
so when he said, "What do you want?" I said, "I'd like the chocolate."
Oh,
And he's like,
wow.
"Okay." And so, like, just those simple things is what
Yeah.
started it.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, who couldn't say that they like the chocolate instead of the cheesecake? But it was like a struggle for me. Um, and so just yeah, practicing those little things that have helped me to on the bigger things. My limits are or where what I really do want and not expecting anything from
Yeah.
John. Like I don't have to expect for him to show up in a way. but
Yeah.
can be grateful for
Yeah.
the ways that he is showing up.
So do you feel like he wanted to make you happy, but he wasn't sure
Yeah.
exactly how to do it, and then he didn't even realize you were unhappy, and so because you
Oh,
didn't.
he had no idea when when I when I first started talking about all these problems that
Yeah.
he was like so blindsided. He had no idea
Yeah.
that I was unhappy in any way.
Yeah.
And he would ask me all the time what my preferences were, but I
Yeah.
always deferred to him. Always.
Yeah.
So no wonder he
Yeah.
wasn't out, he was selfish. That was one of the
Yeah.
narcissist, whatever.
So
It was just because he didn't know how to make me happy. He didn't until I was demanding and
yeah.
expectant and
Yeah.
um but when I was able to really share desires in ways that
Uh-huh.
inspire, he
Yeah.
was more than happy to honor all of it. Like he wants to make me happy.
Oh wow. So you thought he was selfish. And you're like, why does this guy not care about what I want and need? And then you realize, wait a second, I'm actually not even telling him what I want and need. And as soon as you started to tell him what you want and need and stood up for, like, hey, I'm here and I have needs, wants, and desires as well. And so you're like, you started to practice this skill of exercising your needs, wants, and desires. And then he started to become your hero, it sounds like. And it's
Definitely.
yeah, and so like he wanted to make you happy. What are some of the things that he was able to be successful in making you happy, and you were able to express what makes you happy, and he was able to be successful? Was there a moment when that happened that you can share?
There's so many moments. Our parents are somewhat close to each other. They're like 20 minutes away.
Uh-huh.
And it was always a battle, kind of whose house we're going to go to longer, whatever.
Mhm.
Even have to, I can just share. I'd love to go to my parents for whatever holiday, or, um,
Mhm.
and sometimes I'd like to go to his family for the holiday. And he always, it's always whatever I want,
Hmm.
which is not how it used to be. It used to be we're splitting the days and we have to spend at least this much time at one house. And the holidays were always overwhelming and a
Yeah.
letdown, like all at the same time. Like,
Oh man.
um,
Yeah.
and so now, like, it's the way a holiday should feel, just happy and peaceful and
Hmm.
loving who you're around. And not that we don't love or do love one family more than another.
You're saying that basically like here's your desire, I would love, and you have a smile on your face and you say I would love, and then I would love to
Yeah.
go to wherever you want to go. And then he's like, actually, I you didn't even realize maybe before that he actually did want to serve you and he did want to be this
Oh,
man for
yeah.
you. Only because you gave him the opportunity. Because you gave him the opportunity, he was able to step up and make it into this beautiful, safe environment where I would love to serve you and to give you what you want. And because now you know what you want, and so you're able to get what you want, and then you're like, you can have a real true genuine smile on your face maybe, because you're like,
You're
actually
right.
I'm receiving the love that John is giving me, right? Before you weren't able
Yeah,
to do
that's the
that.
thing. I can say something that I want and not have an expectation that it's going to happen. Because I don't have that expectation, when it does happen,
Yeah.
I can receive that so much more excitedly
Yeah.
and have real gratitude for it.
Oh wow.
Um, and so
Wow.
I think that that just encourages him even more to be my hero.
Yeah, because he gets to receive the reward of your smile and your genuine gratitude. And
Right.
so, and now you get to give him the reward of smile and gratitude, and he gets to receive that reward and be your hero. Yeah, is that kind of what goes on now? Is that kind of like
Yeah.
a like what do you think your biggest moment like that you'd like to share that was really like, hey, my marriage has transformed? What would be like one of those moments that you could say?
Mm. It's such an internal work for me. I feel like I can. We talked about PI with Sabrina. I'll talk about PI. I grew up knowing
Mm.
that I like, or I was going to like sex. Like, that's my whole
Yeah,
family.
yeah.
Like, my grandma taught me a dirty joke when I was little because it was a positive thing in
Uh-huh.
growing up.
Oh wow.
Um, and not in a like go sleep around type of way, but when you're married, you're gonna like this is a connecting thing for your spouse. And
Yeah.
I looked forward to it, but then getting married, I It was kind of a letdown, to
Yeah.
be honest. I didn't want to say no, so it just kind of went on. I was kind of like SFPing myself before I knew what that was. Like, this
Mhm.
is connecting, this is good for us, this is, but I wasn't as into it as I wanted to be, I guess.
Okay. Yeah.
But I also wasn't sharing any of my desires.
You got married very young, right? And so you didn't
Yeah,
really
I
know
thought it was for him. Like
how to.
at a certain point, I was like, this is how he feels loved, and I can help him to feel loved this way.
Yeah.
But it was more something I was doing for him.
Okay.
Um,
Not for
and
yourself.
so and so when I found the skills and I learned to receive better,
Yeah.
um, it got a lot better.
Oh,
Um,
sweet.
there's I was able to share my desires and receive what it was that I was given. Yeah, so our sex life is great,
Wow.
which is a blessing for us because
Yeah.
I can see where it really is connecting for us. Even where there might be a disconnect during the day, just that physical touch is bonding and is connecting.
Yes.
Um, and
Yeah.
even if we're not like agreed on
Mhm.
whatever the disconnect was during the day, if there still isn't
Yeah.
a resolution, we can still connect in that way.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Wow.
and it makes me want to
Yeah.
stay in our relationship instead of going back to that old place of
Yeah.
disconnection and
Yes.
numbness and
Mm.
sadness.
So you stay open
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you're staying open, so you're trying not to close down even though there is disconnect throughout the day sometimes, and it sounds like, but you look forward to these moments where you get to share, where there is like a lot of loving touch. Like, I really advocate for that touch, that physical touch, and that intimacy and that openness and that connection. So it sounds like you're able to finally communicate to him what it is you love and what it is like you want more of, and then to receive it, because sometimes, if you're not a
yeah,
good receiver, you're not able to receive that intimacy in the bedroom, and to have that connection open up. And so when did that happen, like after you learned the skills where you're able to like communicate what you liked and what you wanted, and to be open, and so
yeah,
give it to
yeah.
you
So
successful?
I never wanted to use sex as a weapon. Like I never wanted to deny him because I was angry at him. But then that left me again an honoring of myself. It was
Yeah.
just like he just wants to get off, but
Yeah.
it's not about me. Like he
Yeah.
doesn't want to connect with me. That's what I was
Yeah.
telling myself. And so I was the easiest available like thing for him to use to get off. But
Yeah.
it felt horrible. It felt like I was being used
Mm.
instead of now feel like I'm being loved.
Oh, wow.
Um, it was big stretching with the skills. It gave me kind of a framework to be able to do that stretching, that it wasn't going to break me and it wasn't
Oh,
going to break the relationship.
that's so beautiful. So you didn't want to use it as a weapon. So you kept having sex even when you felt disconnected, which was awesome. But at the same time, it also felt like you weren't honoring yourself. So you're like, you're not really present with yourself. So you kind of felt like almost like you're being used, right? And it's crazy that that's the way it is, because sometimes we do feel used, like it's like, oh, he just wants to get off or whatever. But in reality, what you really wanted was to feel connected. You really wanted to feel, for him to feel connected to you, and for
Right.
you to feel connected to him. And like it was like a love thing, where sex was love, not just, not just sex,
Right.
right? And that's the same kind of experience that I
Yeah.
had as well.
It
Yeah.
was making love instead of just effing. Like,
Yeah.
like that's the difference, you
Um,
know?
yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. I love this. It sounds like you're an intimacy queen when it comes to sex as well. And I love that. Is there anything you'd love to share with anybody who's watching, who maybe doesn't know how to have, maybe got married young, or maybe they never really had that intimacy at that level where it feels like it's actual love, where it's like the sex feels like love, like we're having love together instead of like screwing or whatever, right? So what is something that
Right.
you like, that you could share with somebody who maybe doesn't fully understand what that means? What was a tip you could give?
I think what I would share is that only, the connection can only be as deep as you allow it. And sometimes you have to get out of your own way.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
because I know that I caused the block. It was my unwillingness to be vulnerable, that because I had my walls up, he had his up.
It can only get
And
as good as you're receiving is allowing, like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, like
you got to get out of your own
I
way.
really had to learn to receive
Yeah.
him and
Yeah.
even myself. Like I had to be able to receive my own desires and be okay with my desires without
Not
some kind
embarrassed
of,
or
yeah,
filtering, embarrassed or filtering,
yeah,
like not communicating, like, I like this,
yeah,
or I like it when you do that, like really
right,
opening up your heart instead of having this
right.
block.
And
Yeah.
get off of his paper completely about what he's thinking about me or what he's thinking about this or that, like, and
Yeah.
really get in tune with myself.
What you like and like how you feel
Right,
about yourself, right?
right.
As a female, how we feel about ourselves, and it opens, like, if we're like blocked down or like we're restricted or controlling how we see ourselves, like, as do we see
Mm-hmm.
ourselves as a beautiful divine goddess that's super amazing, like, in bed, or do we see ourselves as like this object that's being used, right? So, like,
Yeah.
is that kind of like what happened with you? Like, you feel like you saw yourself
Yeah,
different?
that there's that, but I'm just like coming present to myself. I had a real idea of what he wanted to me to be like. I used to only exercise because I knew he wanted me thin, wanted to be attractive to him, but it was like a forced thing. Or I could only eat this because otherwise I would gain weight and he wouldn't like me. Or it
Uh-huh.
always was attached, like with my health and fitness and stuff, it was always attached to how he was going to see me.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and I feel like through the skills,
Yeah.
I've been able to change my whole mindset
Yeah.
around it. I exercise or I run because it makes me feel good, because I get the benefit of it. I want to eat this or chocolate cake
Yeah.
because I like it and it
Yeah.
tastes good. Like one bite is good enough for me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
or I want to eat the healthy thing because it
Yeah.
does make my body feel good. And so I think that being able to change that mindset has also allowed me to change my mindset around a lot of things. With the I want to do this because it makes me feel good.
So,
So
okay, so
it's
yeah,
all
so
so interconnected, but lots of layers.
lots of layers. Okay, yeah. So, woman was on here right now watching this, or a couple's watching it, or a man sees this podcast and he wants to feel like he connects better with his wife, but he doesn't feel like his wife's opening up. What would you say, like, if you were to get on a coaching call with them, like, or with the women? What would you say to her to help her gain confidence in her ability to ask and receive for the things that she wants in the bedroom and just in her regular desires? What would you say?
First, I would say that he loves you. And my husband has told me over and over again, if I didn't want to be here, I wouldn't. And so
Yeah.
to really receive and trust that.
Oh, wow.
And then I would hopefully they'll understand that there has to be safety both in expressing
Uh-huh.
desires without judgment, because I think until there's that safety there, there's going to be a wall. Yeah, things can be shocking and surprising when you're allowed to say whatever it is that you're desiring. There's a freedom to it, like, and a willingness to go places that you've never been, and to feel deeper than you think you could.
Wow. I love this. I love this. The first thing I would say is that he loves you and he wouldn't, like, he wants to be with you. He wants to give to you. Wow, that's beautiful. And that's
Mm-hmm.
really affirming, because a lot of times we have this negative SFP in our minds, negative spouse fulfilling prophecy or self fulfilling prophecy, that is like, he doesn't really love me. Like, that was one that ran through my
Yeah.
mind a lot. He doesn't love me, and this is evidence I have to show that he doesn't love me. And what you're saying is that the fact is that he does love you, and he doesn't necessarily know how to show it, because he doesn't,
Yeah.
unless he hears from you, needs, wants, and desires, and hears from you, and not in a controlling way, but in a way that's like inspiring, like a really loving way. Sounds like you were able to express these desires in a very loving way with a smile on your face and not a criticism in your voice. But it sounds like you were just really able to do that and to be able to give him the gift of him knowing how to make you happy in the bedroom and outside the bedroom, just in your life. And before that, maybe he didn't know. And before, you just kind of defaulted to his thinking, and because it felt like that was the right thing to do. Self-sacrificing was the right thing to do. But in reality,
that's what you're taught, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like that was the way it was for me too. Like he doesn't know because you never told him. And now you were able to tell him. And now he's like, yay, I get to serve my wife. I get to give to my wife. And before, you thought he was selfish, and he's actually not selfish. Like he's a lot less selfish.
The thing is, he's not a mind reader.
No,
like that's what I've discovered.
Like you just lay there.
Nobody else can read anybody else's minds. Yeah.
Exactly. So you can't just lay there or just think something and he'll just know you. But when you start to express it, and I can see you expressing these desires to him, and I can see how he really felt good to be able to serve you and give to you, and then to be successful in that service. Coach Amy specializes in being just a great receiver, stepping up into that femininity, like because the receiving skill is a very feminine skill. And it's a very like feminine goddess kind of way of being, girl of fun and light, as Laura would say. And so we're just like, there's so much love to be had, and it's pretty fast when you start receiving. So Coach Amy is like this amazing coach, and she's able to really help. She's coached me many, many times, and is always able to help me to see more clearly that my husband loves me and he wants to give to me, and I need to be open to allowing that love to flow to me. And sometimes my walls might be up, and Amy, your walls were up and now your walls are coming down. Like they're not always all the way down, but they come down. Then you're able to receive this love that your husband does indeed love you, and you find evidence of that. So Coach Amy is like this amazing coach that's able to really big, beautiful transformations in marriages by coaching you as a female, a goddess of fun and light, just this beautiful wife. And she's a really powerful coach. So I would really invite you to check out the link below and schedule a call with her. Do your first call for free, like relationship assessment. Is that how you do it, Amy?
Oh yeah, I definitely do a relationship assessment. I want to make sure that I'm a match for her and she's a match for me, so that she can get the most growth within herself.
Awesome. Oh, I love that. So there's going to be a link below, and you can just click on that and just schedule a call with Amy, and she would love to have a chat with you and just see if there's a good match. So thank you so much for being on this podcast, Amy. And Sabrina had to leave earlier, but I'm so grateful for you guys being here. And I'll see you again. Aloha.
Aloha. Thanks, Dagan.